And because they don't prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for that, it hits them like a truck whenever it happens. By the time you turn 30, you have a 25% chance of displaying some balding. By age 50, 50% of men have at least some noticeable hair loss. By age 60, about 2/3 are either bald or have a balding pattern. While hair loss is more common as you get older, it doesn't necessarily make it easier to accept. This is from Bosley.com. Whether or not it's accurate is besides the point. The point of this video, as the title suggests, is it better to bald early? And my argument is yes, but I should probably present the counter argument first. See, I struggled earlier on in my teenage years as my hairline began to recede. I was very insecure about it. I did whatever I could to hide the fact that I was balding. And because I went to a private school, we weren't allowed to wear hats, which forced me very early on to confront the fact that I was losing my hair or to hide it. And I chose the latter. I chose to hide it. I would do the standard comb over thing. I would spend a lot of time gelling my hair and styling it just right to hide the balding spots. And it was a really big struggle early on, and it led to a lot of depression and anxiety related to my appearance. I was not confident with how I looked. However, once I graduated high school, it got a lot easier. A little bit after a month of graduation, I decided to have my hair shaved by my favorite barber. And ever since then, I actually have not gone back because I've been cutting my hair ever since. The first video on my YouTube channel that you can see, at least, actually shows the before and after of this if you're interested in watching that after this video. And I felt and looked really good in that video. And it made me realize that the balding process isn't something to be afraid of. And once you can accept that losing your hair isn't that big of a deal, you're going to be a lot happier. Now, why does that relate to being better to be balding early than doing it later in life? Well, let's get to the point. See, people go through something called a midlife crisis, typically between the ages of 30 and 40, about the midpoint of your life. Now, oftentimes, this period in your life is where you're starting to show some of your age, you're having trouble working out, you're starting to lose your hair, you're wondering if what you did in life was worthwhile. You know, should you have started that family? Should you not have started that family? Did you get somebody that like was the one that got away in your life and you wish that you could have married or dated them or whatever it might be? People go through this period and they have all these things crashing down at them at once. Maybe it gets triggered by losing some of your hair. Maybe it gets triggered by getting an injury at the gym that takes way longer than it should to heal compared to when you were younger. Whatever it might be, whenever you start going through that process, it's overwhelming. And if you can get it out of the way much earlier in your life, that's one less thing to worry about. See, for me, I'm not going to have to worry about getting to my 30s and 40s and losing hair. I've already done that. I've already had that step happen in my life. Now I can worry about having my metabolism slow down or not having enough money to buy a house because I'm only 22 years old and our economy is trash. Whatever it might be. I'm able to accept it much earlier on, gain the lessons from that acceptance, and be more mature going into my 30s and 40s, and understanding that the physical features that may decline over time aren't nearly as important. And a lot of people take for granted the fact that, yes, they'll have hair going through their 20s and 30s, and yes, that makes them feel good, but they don't acknowledge the fact that there is a 50% chance by the time you're in your 30s or 40s that you will have lost some or most of your hair. And because they don't prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for that, it hits them like a truck whenever it happens. So I think it's better to do it earlier and to accept and understand it than to have it hit you later on in life. But that's just my personal take, and I might have some survivor bias with that, because I'm somebody lucky enough to have had a support system around me whenever I decided to shave my head that accepted and supported how I looked. If I was surrounded by people who were shallow and superficial and made fun of me, it may have been a totally different story and it may have shattered my confidence. So maybe it doesn't work for every single person. But based on my personal experience and understanding that who we are is much more important than what we look like, it seems as though balding early is actually an advantage in some circumstances at least. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more, subscribe, and do not forget to keep it casual.